and welcome to part 2 of Heaven, the Heart's Deepest Longing. Are you left with the question, do you prefer getting there to having got there? And we were posed with the possibility, according to most people's thinking, that heaven could be a pretty boring place. So that's the poser at the moment. So I'm going to read a little bit more from this book now. He had just said that living happily ever after isn't half as interesting as the thrill of getting there. So now, on this, let's continue. Mr. Kreeft goes on to say, can you imagine any heaven that would not eventually be a bore? If you can't, does that mean that every good thing must come to an end, even heaven? After 80 or 90 years, most people are ready to die. Will we feel the same after 80 or 90 centuries of heaven? Would you have to invent death in your ideal invented heaven to bring it to an end? What a heaven! So wonderful you commit suicide to escape it. But if we don't want death and we don't want boredom in heaven, what do we want? If heaven is real, what real desire does it satisfy? And even if it is unreal, only wishful thinking, what is the wish? What do we want? We want a heaven without death and without boredom, but we can't imagine such a heaven. And how can we desire something that we can't imagine? Our desires go far deeper than our imagination or our thought. The heart is deeper than the mind. The scripture says, out of the heart are the issues of life. It is our centre, our prefunctional root. Think about that phrase, prefunctional root. At this centre, we decide the meaning of our lives, for our deeper desires constitute ourselves, decide our identity. We are not only what we are, but we are also what we want. Now this is not true of our surface desires. I mean, wanting an ice cream doesn't make us into an ice cream cone. But our centre, the want, decides the wanter, rather than the wanter deciding the want. Another way of seeing this strange truth about ourselves is to notice that we are double selves. We identify with or find our identity in not only what we are, but also what we want to be. Not only our present, actual selves, but also our hoped for, future, potential selves. Our hearts are always a beat ahead of our bodies. We have one foot where we are, and the other where we are not yet. Yet both feet are ours. We are stretched between heaven and earth, and it is our hearts that stretch us into heaven, even while our bodies are on earth. But we don't know what heaven is. We can't imagine it. Eye has not seen, ear has not heard, neither has it entered into the heart of man. Scripture. We don't know what our hearts want. Therefore, we don't know who we are once we stop fooling ourselves. And just to slip away from the reading a moment, how did you find the last episode thinking about what you want or what you would like to have in heaven? I must admit I found that extremely difficult to say what I want. Therefore, we don't know who we are. This is awful as well as awesome. Because it is awesome, we wonder. But because it is awful, we rationalize. We quiet our hearts by pretending we know who we are. We mouth ridiculous bromides like, "Accept yourself as you are." A piece of advice that no one on earth can possibly follow without ceasing to be human. Because our very essence as human runs ahead of itself, falls over its own feet, and asks, "Is that all there is?" Our divine discontent is our humanity. I'll say that phrase again. Our divine discontent is our humanity. Think about that one. End of quote.